Good morning and welcome to yet another edition of Roadhouse Last Call. Roadhouse Last Call, the morning show that talks about the morning. Today's episode is brought to you by Stockington, the Bender, and the Hell's Bells. We are all here. We are ready to rumble. We are ready to make it happen. Bender, how was your morning, your evening, your weekend?
Busy, but good. We
Super good.
spent a lot more time burning stuff and putting stuff into piles and just general land cleanup.
Land management.
Yeah,
Bender is adding land management, forestry management to his lengthy resume of suches and whatnots.
yeah, throw that on there. It's like never ending. So this is
Yeah.
likely going to be the story for me for a while when it comes to the weekends. We bought 3 more goats. So
Oh, that's good.
there was that, and then so the guy that helps out and feeds the animals and stuff. He's grown attached to the first goats that we got, and they were babies, right? They're little goats. They call them kids. Uh, that's what they call young goats. They call them kids, um,
Huh.
which is interesting. But the 3 more that we bought are like older goats. They're like 5 years old, and uh, when they were being dropped off, he was just like, he's like, I those goats are ugly. I don't think I'm even gonna look at them, much less
Really?
like he tries to hand feed the little ones, and he's trying to socialize them, and he's like, yeah, they're ugly. I'm like, I don't. It's like you know he can't get into it.
Can't get into
It's kind of funny.
not everything is for everyone, I
hmm
guess.
You know,
Well, what was my weekend? My weekend was kind of chill. I had to do a lot of stuff. Got all the stuff done, but didn't really do anything that I could feel like, oh, dude, one thing I did do. Have you ever bought one of those things that you have to put it together and it's like you're looking at it being like, all right, this will take 2 hours, and then like 8 hours later you're
oh yeah,
ready to fucking set it on fire?
yes,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
had one. I had one of those this weekend that I was just like, this is
What were you
fucking
putting
bullshit.
together?
A metal wood rack thing for the outside for all the wood I've been chopping. I was like, okay, so I need to stack and rack this shit. So we bought this big ass thing. Um, Literally took me all day Saturday and the morning on Sunday. It was unbelievable. Yeah, nose whistle. You don't even understand, dude. It's like I'm just like, well, this hole doesn't match this. I was like, all right, we're gonna make sure it matches it. We're gonna drill another hole
I was
here.
gonna
We're gonna
say,
drill.
did you drilled another hole, didn't you?
Well, I drilled plenty of new holes. I used plenty of material that was not a part of the kit in order to put it together.
Jesus.
I was like, makes more sense to have a bracket here than a bracket there. Let's go ahead.
Oh, that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Anyways, no, it's not. But it's like so I looked at it, and it's like this thing was from like it was one of those Scandinavian countries. So it's like we
Was
got
it IKEA?
bamboozled. It was not IKEA.
Oh,
Man, I forgot what it was. It's like Meta XL or something XL. Just ridiculous. Anyways, ridiculous. Cut my fingers up on the little sheet metal thing because I didn't put on the gloves. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience.
this sounds like a good
Um,
time. I bought a
yeah.
uh, I bought a box blade for the tractor on Friday. My wife went and picked it up, and I had to install this rear hydraulic kit to make it work. I'm not a mechanic, nor am I a hydraulics specialist or installer. It really wasn't too bad of a job, but um, it took some time, and it was not a lot of fun.
uh,
The box blade is fun though. It's
It usually
cool.
things once they when they're fun,
Yeah.
but once when they don't work, they're not fun. It's just like, anyways. All right. Well, the market looks like we're gonna get a little little gap up, a little bit of action to the upside. China is on vacation, so we don't get to deal with anything coming from there, at least until this evening. We get consumer expectations later on, I believe 11 Eastern, which, that's really the only data point ahead of us. Data in the Great Britain is coming in soft. Something to keep in mind, and they have a lot more data coming through this week. The big data point this week is going to be CPI tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. before open. Manage your positions accordingly based on that. I know I will. Flow from last week into this week, I'll just say it was tilting bullish. However, there are still some very, very heavy bears out there that are looking for significant downside. That was evident in the flow. Very, very, they're lurking. And the one thing that, I've written about it and I've spoken about it several times, this version of bear is just different. It's more than happy to lay in the cut, more than happy to lay down the lines, more than happy to wait. And then when the time comes, they just unleash hell. Very patient, very disciplined, very smart. This is not dumb bear. This is very, very smart bear. So when we start talking about smart bear, dumb bear is just sitting there like, oh, high a day, I'm going to short it. High a day, I'm going to short it. Hey, high a day, short it. That didn't work out so well the last couple of days. That's not what this bear is. This bear waits for critical moments in time, critical points on the chart, and then you can see the flow get really, really sour, and then they absolutely come in and just destroy everything in their path. And that's when we get those 30, 45-minute straight down bleeds. That's still in the equation. It's still something that can happen. So based on that and based on CPI tomorrow, I know I'm going to be managing my positions accordingly in about as conservative as I can possibly operate for today. And entirely possible through Thursday, being extremely conservative. As far as what I'm doing. That means I'll probably do some harvesting today, probably sell some things today, and look to reposition thereafter. So with this being said, Bender, I talked about smart bear, dumb bear. If you are smart bear, where are you looking at your lines right now to be like, you know what, this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm going to come in and fucking just nail it.
Well, smart bear would want to see, they'd want to see us under 40.95, and they'd want to see it hold under 40. They would want to see us drop through 40.95 and hold that, at least initially, and target 40.80 and below. As far as, all right, first things first, I'm switching over. I've rolled over to the December contract. So the lines that that I give are based on the continuous contract, but they will match up with the December contract now. So I'm not trading ESU anymore. Now it's ESZ. So with that said, we are currently sitting at 41. Oh, where are we at here? Let me pull up the right chart. The whole rolling over thing is always a pain. Your lines get all funky and you got to draw new stuff. Anyway, we're sitting at 41.03 half right now. Just above 41.15 is the overnight high. 41.20 being an area of previous support and resistance. That's kind of where it starts. And I'm gonna post a chart here. This is on a 6-hour time frame, but the lines I drew mostly on the daily. And this area that I'm talking about, screenshot. This area that I'm talking about that we're entering, you will see there is some congestion in here. This is a level of previous support and resistance, but this goes up to about just over 4,200. Okay, there's that chart. So that shows that current down channel that we're in, that we've been in for a while. It also shows that longer term up channel. But you can see kind of that red price range in there.
Hmm.
That's what we're coming into, and you can see all the times that acted as support or resistance over the last, call it, year and change.
Hmm.
That goes back to June, uh, and if you zoom out, it probably goes back even further. But that's kind of what I'm talking about as an area of previous support and resistance, that price range that we're coming into. So that's 4120 up to like 42. Was that 4205 or so? Um, and then, just for context, that the current down channel that we're in, the top side of that is like up around 42, depending on when we hit it. That would be like 4230. That's kind of the bigger picture right there. Um, so 4120 starts this previous support resistance, and then above that 4154. There's a fib there and a fib at 4160 on a different time frame. So you got two fibs that meet up in that 4154 to 4160. If bear is really patient, they perhaps look at that level and go, yeah, there's no way we're getting over this. I'm going to short it here. So that's where I'd be watching.
So how far off are we there now? Like how many handles? That helps
Well,
me.
we're at 4103, so that's about 50.
50 handles.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you got that 4120 previous support and resistance, and then that 4154 fib.
So
That's
give or
50
take,
going.
we're looking at about 412, 413 as far as,
Yeah.
if we get up there, like if we get there, head on a swivel time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is 4100 or 410 that area? Is there any significance in through there?
Well, of course, 4100 whole number, um,
Right.
psychological level, and that 4115 being the overnight high.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
just below 4100, we got 4092 is the 60 MA, or sorry, the 5 M. No, it's the 20 MA on the 60 minute. Again, looking at different charts with different. So that's the 20 MA on the 60 minute, 4092. Below that, you got 4080 was the overnight low.
Hmm.
4070 is previous support. That's also the lower trend line or support trend line of the much longer term channel. Again, pre-COVID high to COVID low, the channel that made, that trend line would come in around 4070. So those are
Okay.
probably that gives you targets that are, go to 35 handles below where we are and a whole bunch above. If we get below, 4070, I'll put out some new, kind of next levels. But that gives us a starting point. I think, like I said, for the morning here, at least going into it, I think we want to get above, if you're bullish, you don't want to see us fall below 4095. You want to see us get above that 4115, the overnight high, and maintain above there. If we do pull
Hmm.
back, 4095 is where I would be looking for a bounce.
Okay.
And if you're bearish, you would like to see, you don't really want to see it above 4115. You want to see it get below 4095, maybe bounce, reject, and then push down from there.
Okay. So what's interesting to me about all this is I'm looking at this little gap up that we're having now, and I'm not really seeing activity on individual names other than Apple. Apple is the outlier here. I'm not seeing any activity in individual names that makes me believe that we're going to get too much of continuation to the upside. I think we're fairly limited there. I could be wrong. I want to be wrong. But that's the way I kind of plan on handling the day. That we're more limited to the upside than what we would prefer to be, at least for me. And I don't know if that kind of lines up with some of what's going on, but some of that flow last week towards the end of the week was on Friday. I was just like, oh, well, fuck, they're still there. And they're still very angry. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm going to approach the day. All right, you got anything else? We can turn into the Stockington.
Not at the moment. Yeah, you turn it over.
Stockington, tell us a story.
Hello, I'm here. Yeah. So gap up. So I put out some new levels that are here in the room. Put that on Twitter as well. So just did some quick adjusting with the move up. Tesla, use basically where it stalled out. Pre-market was 302.2. Then just around Friday's high could be the potential opportunity to take Tesla short. That was 299.9. Swan had Tesla on his list as well. He went a little more conservative with the trigger to the downside of just 299 flat. So depending on how aggressive and what the day looks like, ideas on Tesla. NVIDIA was a weekly inside bar. So if we can break that and hold, which we did actually pre-market, the high of last week on NVIDIA was around 144.8, but now we're drifting kind of back down below that. So NVIDIA, I have a line from kind of like pre-market resistance and a fib at 145.05. Looking to take NVIDIA long if we can break that and hold. Then I had this volume profile is lighting up pre-market, this line at 143.85. So it looks like there's something going on down at that line. So we'll be looking to see the reaction there to potentially take NVIDIA short. And then Snow also made the list due to it being a weekly inside bar. So with the drift up, just going to take where Snow stalled out as a potential call trigger at 191.05. Then the downside potentially looking at this fib at 187.8. The other one I would note, there wasn't anything too crazy. Sometimes we see some dark pools coming in on a Friday. Nothing much. SPY, there was $2.8 billion sitting there at 406.53. Other than that, dark pool Friday was pretty whatever. That's all I got though.
All right, very good.
All right.
Very, very good. So, God, I had a question for you there, Stockington, like a really good question, but then I forgot it. I spaced. Bender, do you have anything else?
I do. So I don't know if you saw my post yesterday regarding gaps and how often they fill and that sort of thing. But I posted some very interesting and I think useful information, and I'll kind of since we have a gap, I'll talk about this. The data that I posted, the statistics that I posted refer to gap days and the percentage of time that they fill, and it breaks it down, the percentage of time they fill in 5 minutes, in the first 25 minutes, in the first hour, or after the first hour, but being in the same day. So, and it's broken down by partial gaps and full gaps. So this would be considered a full gap up, and statistically, a full gap, 45.5% of the time they will fill in the same day. So less than half of the time that full gap will fill the same day. And
Is this specifically referring to SPY, the ES?
This is
the
ES.
ES.
Yep.
But the ES doesn't have a gap.
Well,
Filled it last night.
It still does have regular trading hours versus extended trading hours.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and that's what we're talking about is gaps, regular trading hours caps on
Got it.
ES. So it the reason I point this out is because if we're looking at some sort of gap, we're looking at a gap up, and everyone's looking at it going, well, I don't want to trade it because it's going to fill the gap. Well, looking at the statistics, only like 9% of the time it fills in the first 5 minutes. If it's gonna fill 28% of the time, it's in the first 25 minutes, and 23% it's in the first hour, and then 40% of the time it's after that. So don't get too hung up on the fact that there's a gap, and just trade the levels.
Yeah, that makes total sense. All right, everybody, we got 20. Thanks for that, Fender. We got 20 minutes to go. Let's go ahead and get comfortable. I'm gonna put some information in my little trade room regarding that account over there. Anybody who's listening that follows that account, this morning is going to be very intense for me as far as managing those positions and moving them around. I'm not going to be posting as I move off of them or add onto them until I'm settled in with what I have. So do not wait for me. Do not wait for an alert. Do not wait for an update. Do not do that. Manage your shit. Manage your shit accordingly. I'll try to call it out on voice, but there's several positions that I want to move off of, and I need to be quick and diligent, and I can't be splashing around on the keyboard while trying to do that.
Are you planning on exiting all of your? Are there specific positions that you've put out that you really want to focus on getting out of first?
A lot of it depends on what these first two candles do. So it's like I'm in two different sets of Googles. I'm in the 111s and the 115s for this week. The 115s, if we get a candle up, I'm going to fade those quickly. Get off of those quickly. Odds are I get off of Mara quickly going into CPI tomorrow. I get off of that quickly. Tesla, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get off of that 300. It's up over 200% now. I'm pretty sure I'm going to move off of that at the same time and look to reposition. Tesla's completely extended. I expect at some point in time a pullback down to 294 in the relative near term. So Tesla, I plan on fading also. Also plan on most likely taking a contract off of that little SoFi that I have, the 750s out to January. I'm probably going to take, those are up 30%. I'm probably going to take one contract off and look to add a more hefty position on any red day over there on SoFi. But I want to return some capital back into the game. Right now, the account is sitting at, that $1,000 account is sitting at $2,763.68. That's where that account is sitting. I have $1,200 in available. How much do I have in cash? I have $900 in cash that I can play with. I want to move that around to where I have over 50% in cash to play with, and in order to do that, I have to play with some things. This Boeing position that I opened in today, on Friday, the 162.50s. Those are going to be a little bit dicey. If I don't get, that one becomes interesting, because if I don't get a green candle to the upside, those are really either going to be flat to down, and then I have to make a decision whether or not I want to add contracts to that and play a move up based on flow, or I just want to fade the whole thing and move off. So there's a lot of moving pieces that I have to be very actionable on in the first few minutes of the day. Internally, I'm not feeling, we could very well melt up into that CPI print tomorrow. I just, for whatever reason, I'm not feeling it in the music. I want it to be that way, but I'm not feeling it in the music. So I want to manage that capital properly and make sure that I have plenty of activity with my ultimate plan. As far as Thursday being when I would really look to be aggressive and shooting out to maybe a couple of weeks out on positions. That's what I'm looking at now to kind of summarize that. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's helpful.
All right. So that's where I'm at. All right, guys. We'll